Hello, welcome to Week in Review with me, Adam Boulton, in for Jane Secker. Kevin Maguire and Andrew Pearce are here to look back at the biggest stories of the past 7 days. So, gentlemen, what were your top stories?
Every time he opens his mouth, it's another great story. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump and Theresa May.
Right, well, I'm sure we'll be moving on to that very soon. But we start with Brexit and that decision made by the Supreme Court that MPs must have a say on the triggering of Article 50. A short bill was quickly put together and put before Parliament. The recriminations followed were just as fast. More on that in a moment, but first, here's our political editor Faisal Islam on Article 50's Judgment Day.
Taking back control from number 10, the blockbuster Supreme Court case verdict giving Parliament alone the power to trigger the exit process from the EU. The court president, Lord Neuberger, upholding the High Court's shock verdict.
Today, by a majority of 8-3, the Supreme Court rules that the government cannot trigger Article 50 without an Act of Parliament authorising it to do so.
The lead claimant, Gina Miller, was delighted with the result.
No Prime Minister, no government can expect to be unanswerable or unchallenged. Parliament alone is sovereign.
But not for the government.
Of course, the government is disappointed with the outcome. But we have the good fortune to live in a country where everyone, every individual, every organisation, even government, is subject to the rule of law.
The judges said that the nature of any Article 50 legislation was a matter for Parliament, and as important, the court unanimously rejected a role for the devolved legislatures in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland.
It is a historic judgment on the balance of powers in our constitution between Parliament and the executive. In terms of triggering Article 50, the government's still confident it can get things through. The ball now in Parliament's court and whether it chooses to amend the government's legislation.
For Ms Miller, vindication came at an evident personal cost to her security. Now she says it's over to the MPs.
I think it's important to have the debate we didn't have, the debate leading up to the referendum on the detail, the honest detail. And what I would, is not that it's up to me, but what I would hope to see is a process that normally is followed when there is an important bill going through Parliament.
The judges have handed the ultimate decision across Parliament Square to MPs and to Lords. They will trigger Article 50, but on what terms?
Well, Andrew, but only people who seemed surprised or angry about this was your newspaper, the Daily Mail.
We weren't surprised. I think we absolutely knew the judges. Remember, somebody called them the enemies of the people. We're going to follow with the High Court. But there was great encouragement, though, in this result there, because what would have been a real problem was if the Supreme Court had said the devolved parliaments had to be consulted separately. That could have delayed the whole process in terms of it. As it is now, we'll just crack on with it.
What was not to like in UK judges and the UK Supreme Court deciding UK law makes the UK Parliament supreme? It was fantastic. And the government should have just embraced Parliament and a vote from the beginning. That was Theresa May's mistake. She should have said, I want to involve MPs on this journey. Britain's gone out of the European Union. Brexit, I accept that. But she should uphold democracy and make a virtue.
But you see, it was the way the bill was drafted by David Cameron's government. That was a mistake because people could argue it was only an advisory referendum. But let's not forget his mate, Comrade Corbyn. What was he saying after the referendum result? Article 50 should be triggered the very next day. Conveniently, he changed his position for political expediency.
But at the same time, I mean, why did we have all this havering about whether or not we're going to get a white paper? I mean, she gave way in the end, but why didn't she just do it?
I think she did it to shoot Labour's fox, because that was the one thing they could unite around. I thought it was rather clever. She hung on for a bit and then, unexpectedly, actually, said there would be a white paper.
Look, she's performed more U-turns than a
Not
lost driver in Milton Keynes.
Not as many as your lot.
She's actually, give a vote, that's the right position. She should have said from the beginning, we will produce that white paper, detailed plans, more than just one speech, so you know where we're going. But, of course, that white paper should be produced before MPs vote to trigger the Article 50 two-year departure date. She's not quite got this the right way around.
Well, you've got to say that the Tories know what they're going to do now, the Liberal Democrats know what they're going to do, Labour doesn't know what it's going to do in Parliament.
Well, I think the Labour leader knows what he's going to do, but it just a lot of his front benchers don't agree with him and his backbenchers. Now, Labour is in a difficult position, just as the government and the governing party and the Conservatives are, because we know they've got rebels too. But now Labour is in a very tricky position because it has the most Remain seats and the most Leave seats, and it's been pulled to it.
OK, well, Brexit is our top story, and I don't think that'll be the last week that happens, but here's some other stories that you might have missed this week. Sky launched Ocean Rescue, a campaign aimed at eliminating the plastics dumped in the world's seas. 95% of the rubbish in our oceans is plastic, mostly from bags and food containers. Prince Charles was amongst those who backed Ocean Rescue. The Prince of Wales said he hoped the campaign would reduce the human impact on the environment.
Any action we take to ensure a healthy ocean will dramatically help us combat climate change and its impacts. All I can say is that Sky's Ocean Plastics campaign will hopefully create further awareness of this incredibly serious issue.
After accusations of a cover-up, it was revealed Theresa May was told about last year's Trident missile test when she took office. However, a spokeswoman said Mrs May had been told that it was a successful operation and not whether there had been a malfunction with the missile. Tam Dalyell, who served as an MP for 43 years, died at the age of 84. He became known for his campaigns on issues such as the sinking of the Belgrano during the Falklands War and what became known as the West Lothian question, whether Scottish MPs should have a vote on English laws after devolution. First Minister Nicola Sturgeon described him as a real giant of Scottish politics. Gordon Kay, the star of the comedy series Allo Allo, also died at the age of 75. He played the cafe owner René Artois for 10 years in the long-running sitcom, along with more than 1,000 performances of the stage version of the comedy. And now it's time for our gaffe of the week, and it goes to this rather embarrassing error by the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn.
I join the Prime Minister in condolences in expressing condolences, I'm sure of the whole House, to the family of the police officer who lost his life over the weekend in Northern Ireland.
Well, the problem, of course, was that the soldier, although he'd been shot, the policeman, although he'd been shot, wasn't actually killed.
No, and he was sitting up in bed, fine. He had a slight wound to his arm. That was one of the more cringe-making gaffes by Corbyn.
Reports of his passing were exaggerated. But, of course, the reason he did it is normally the Prime Minister doesn't pay tribute unless somebody's been killed. And I think he was caught off guard. He thought, she's made a tribute. It must be because somebody's dead. Very embarrassing.
OK, well, don't forget you can send us your nominations using the hashtag WINR for Gaff of the Week. Well, this week we were warned that overcooked food could pose a cancer risk. Burnt toast, overdone chips, even coffee were amongst the potential dangers. Here's Sky's Charlotte Lomas.
Whether you're frying, toasting or roasting, the advice is to go for golden. Cook roast potatoes or toast for too long and it could cause cancer, according to the British food watchdog, the Food Standards Agency. It's launched a campaign urging people to change their eating and cooking habits.
Acrylamide is formed when there's a chemical reaction between certain sugars and an amino acid in the food, particularly when it's cooked for a long period at a high temperature.
Chips and crisps are thought to contain the most of the chemical, and also brown toast. The Food Standards Agency is advising people not to toast bread beyond a golden colour, and to store potatoes out of the fridge, as this too can raise the levels of acrylamide when cooked. The chemical is also found in cereals, cookies and even coffee, all part of many people's daily diet. But with no conclusive evidence linking acrylamide with cancer in humans, several experts have criticised the government's campaign. Others argue that the risk is so minimal it shouldn't be cause for concern. The FSA says this latest food guidance is about getting people to reduce their intake of acrylamide, not to stop them eating roast potatoes or chips altogether. But with no study proving the link to cancer, critics claim the campaign could be raising more fear than awareness.
So, killer food. They didn't seem very bothered in Charlotte Lomas's report. Are you bothered?
Now the lad in the pub seemed to be enjoying his chips, didn't he? But look, I think the Food Standards Agency was just being sensible. This is the risk. Over your lifetime, you can change your lifestyle if you want. And in fact, actually, it was papers and the media running around and making it something bigger than it was. Don't blame the Food Standards Agency.
These stupid quangos, these are the sort of stories that give these stupid quangos a bad name. It's a nonsense.
Yeah,
it's a complete nonsense. It's nanny state. I've been browning my roast potatoes for years and years and years and burning my toast with great abandon.
Look, I'll buy you a lot more if it's going to move you on a bit quicker. But I remember people saying things like mad cow disease, there's no link to beef.
Comparison.
Come on.
No
and then you get a link.
comparison.
You make your mind up. You get the information. If you want burnt toast, I like burnt toast. I'm not going to stop you.
Well, I think this is an important question. How do you like your toast?
Well done. Yeah, properly.
He just likes someone to do it for him. Well done.
But bizarrely, I like cold toast.
Oh, do you?
Cold?
We'll remember that.
That's weird.
OK, well, we've got a quick quiz for you now. Can you tell me, look at this photograph, can you tell me what caused a shock for this young surfer? Andrew and Kevin have a couple of minutes to see if they can work it out. We'll find out the answer next.
I think it's...
And welcome back to Week in Review. I'm Adam Boulton, and with me are Kevin Maguire, Associate Editor of the Daily Mirror, and Andrew Pearce, Consultant Editor of the Daily Mail. Well, before the break, we asked, can you tell us what caused a shock for this young surfer?
I'm making a wild guess. A large fish-like shark sort of thing may have popped its head above the
It's
the
there.
foam.
You can see it just to the right of him. It's photo-bombing him.
All right,
you see it there?
Yeah, I can. Is that a shark?
You're going for
It is.
And actually, you are very, very 20/20 vision there. There is a shark lurking beneath the waves, right next to 10-year-old Eden Hassan. His father, Chris, who took this photograph, said he noticed the great white when he looked back at the image on his camera. And when he quickly alerted his son and his friends to get out of the water at Samurai Beach, north of Sydney. Experts say they think the shark was around 8 feet long. Eden says he's a little bit shocked. I'm not surprised.
A little bit.
Understatement of the year.
I don't think I'd be back in the water ever again.
There are. I think the statistics are that there are actually more shark attacks than ever off Australia.
Well, it feels like it, but I mean, I'd be terrified.
All right, then. It's the big story this week. Donald Trump's first week in office, and the impact was immediate. The new president signed a number of executive orders, prompting anger from his opponents, most notably after starting the process to meet one of his main campaign promises, to build that wall between Mexico and America. Sky's US correspondent Greg Milam reports now from Washington, D.C.
Donald Trump has signed a stack of presidential directives this week, one by one, ordering action on his campaign promises. This one, to build that wall. It offered little detail on how exactly that 2,000-mile barrier would be constructed and, crucially, who will pay for it. In front of an audience of Homeland Security staff, he confirmed it would happen.
We'll begin immediate construction of a border wall. We are going to get the bad ones out, the criminals and the drug dealers and gangs and gang members and cartel leaders. The day is over when they can stay in our country and wreak havoc. We are going to get them out, and we're going to get them out fast, and John Kelly is going to lead that way.
But that man, chosen to run the department, expressed doubts during his confirmation hearings.
If you just very briefly tell us what you think is necessary to have a secure border.
Physical barrier in and of itself will not do the job. It has to be really a layered defense.
Trump's barrage of orders has already prompted protests, this one near the White House involving environmentalists over his plans to restart work on controversial pipelines. The forces of opposition to the new president appear just as ready for action.
Well, some might say Donald Trump is doing what he said he would, but there's also been a lot of talk about the truth. The new White House press secretary claimed, in the face of contradictory evidence, that Donald Trump's inauguration was the best attended ever. Mr Trump's advisor, Kellyanne Conway, even used the phrase alternative facts. And Sean Spicer, the spokesman, was then asked to promise not to lie to the media.
Yes, I believe that we have to be honest with the American people. I think sometimes we can disagree with the facts. There are certain things that we may not fully understand when we come out, but our intention is never to lie to you, Jonathan.
So, is he a liar or doing what it says on the tin?
I think that guy Spice has got the toughest job in the White House, because clearly the President of the United States is erratic, bad-tempered, and shouts and screams and has tantrums and fits, and then Spicer has to go out and present this. He doesn't now say these are facts. He's now, the phrase he uses, he says, the President believes that, which is sort of some form of get-out. But then we've now got other people saying it's alternative facts. Now, there's only one set of facts if you're the President of the United States. It's called the truth.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Trump is an occasional acquaintance of the truth. And if you're dealing with a serial liar, Spicer's got a big problem there, and we don't know. Whenever Trump opens his mouth and you fact check it, you find so often it isn't true. And I for once, I feel a bit sorry for Theresa May. She had to go over and see him. She was desperate to see him. She wants that trade deal. Well, really, it would just be political rather than economic. But she's dealing, and she will know she's dealing with somebody who is so unpredictable.
But, I mean, there is, though, this sense that you should take Donald Trump seriously but not literally. And here he is, building that wall, rowing back on climate change. So he may be lying about the details, but on the serious policy, he really means it.
But you've got to take him seriously because he is President of the United States. He could be there for 4 years.
Could be there for 8.
But that doesn't mean you praise him, you back him, whether it's torture or whatever. And that wall, there's nothing wrong with a country securing its borders. And if he wants a wall, he can have a wall. But it's the demonising of Mexicans all the time, calling them rapists, drug dealers, and this idea that undocumented migrants aren't deported from the US. The record numbers were going out under Obama. He just tries to pretend Trump nothing ever happened before.
Despite all those misgivings, he is the President of the United States. He's there for 4 years, and Theresa May has pulled up a great diplomatic coup in getting there first. Lots of other prime ministers and presidents would like to have got into the White House, but it's a great coup for her, and it will help her in securing a trade deal. Because remember, Obama, foolishly in my view, came into our referendum and said we'd be at the back of the queue. Well, we now got a bit nearer the front.
She's been his cover girl, and he's got a problem with women. That's what it is.
OK, well, so let's have a look now at your top newspaper stories, the top stories in your medium. Andrew.
Well, it coincides with the cold spell too. The number of rough sleepers, this was in all the papers this week, the Times did it very well, increased by 16%, over 4,000. And the easy thing to say is, oh, it's cutbacks, it's local authorities cutting back. But part of the problem here is this alarming rise in the number of people suffering from mental illness, a problem identified by the Prime Minister in a speech, all the main parties, because a number of these rough sleepers are people who've been in their forces, they've got drink and drug problems, and it's a real problem. Some of the charities saying the figures are a scandal. They're not good when we're one of the richest countries in the world.
I used to be a warden in a hostel for homeless men, and yeah, you're right. People, marriage breakdowns, unemployment, mental illnesses, lots of issues, but there's no doubt there's a housing crisis in Britain, and there's less accommodation, long waiting lists, and if you're a single person, you're not a priority. You cannot get social housing.
Kevin, your story.
Yeah, well, I was moved by David Cameron becoming president of Alzheimer's Research UK. I think he's right to do it, and he rather elegantly said that cancer research into strokes, they get all the money they deserve, but looking into dementia, it's too far behind. He will help them as president to get more cash. Now, I can criticise him for the social care cuts he made at the time, so there wasn't as much care for Alzheimer's victims as there should have been, but he's going to make a lot of money, he's going to bring out his book, but he can help a very good cause here.
And Alzheimer's is going to affect more and more of us. I mean, my father had it. I mean, most people know somebody now who's had it, and it's a terrible, terrible illness. And if they can move forward with research, it would be great.
It doesn't have to be inevitable.
And he's not getting paid for it. And he, of all people, can raise its profile.
OK, another one we shouldn't forget.
Well, funny little man called Bernie Ecclestone, finally ousted from his perch in Formula 1 racing, not before time, aged 80-something. They've decided they want to move the sport on. He, of course, took Formula 1 racing to that well-known bastion of civil liberties, Bahrain, and other such places. I feel a bit sorry for his wife, because he's going to have more time to spend at home with his wife, aged 39. I think he's 84. I bet she was rather enjoying that.
I interviewed him once, and he insisted on having a brass sculpture of a pile of money in the shop.
That sums him up.
And your last story of the week?
The former deputy ambassador to London from North Korea has defected to South Korea. Kim Jong-un won't be very happy.
That's a good pronunciation.
Kim Jong-un's not the ambassador. That is Tai Yong-ho, I think.
Not so good.
Anyway, he says that actually dissent is growing in North Korea because information's filtering through. And it seems Kim Jong-un, who's the Donald Trump of North Korea, is kind of really just interested in music and Eric Clapton and, I suppose, killing people.
And is he still feeding his rivals to the dogs?
Well, all those stories, we're never quite sure which are true and which are not true.
I could believe that one.
But it's got nothing to do with communism, North Korea. It's a gangster hereditary state.
Well, I like the fact that the defecting deputy ambassador wrote a letter of apology to his tennis club.
Yes.
Lovely.
It's the small things that count.
Yeah, really.
All right, up and down this week. Who's up, who's down?
Well, she's a doyen of the fashion world. Alexandra Schulman, the British Vogue editor, stepping down after 25 years of her own volition. She's put British fashion and helped put British fashion on the world stage, and she looks great, and she's done a great job with the magazine. And I have to say, in that profession, journalism, magazine, to survive 25 years is quite an achievement.
Absolutely phenomenal. It's a huge industry. I mean, I'm not really into it, as you can probably tell the way I dress. But it's very important. But it also ends the rivalry with Anna Wintour.
Well, that's
the
also
US
the remarkable thing about Alex is she's a real woman. She's not a model type, and always.
Well, people would say, you're really the editor of Vogue. But she said, well, how do you expect me to dress?
I know. Quite different to Anna Wintour, of course, the American Vogue editor.
Nuclear Winter.
All right, who's getting the thumbs down?
Well, Nesta Carter, part of the Jamaican Olympics relay team in 2008, when they won gold, they've gone back to his drug test, of course. Dodgy, failed, but it means Usain Bolt and all the other runners in the team have lost their medal. Why does it take so long to work out that there's so many cheats in it's not British athletics, athletics?
Oh, I don't know, we've had our fair share.
We have.
I think,
All right, Kevin, you've gone literal for your up this week.
I have. Tim Peake going to go back to the space station, but the first British astronaut ever to do it. He liked the view last time. He wants to see it again. And he is brilliant because he brought space alive, physics, science for so many people. But, God, dear, another 6 months locked up on that? It'd be worse than sitting next to you.
Well, I think it's fantastic. And he's doing...
Well, it's not all primary school children, so...
Yeah, exactly, because he's doing a lot of motivational speaking. I think he'd rather be in space than talking to those kids.
Anyway, it's fantastic for him.
What about wood burners?
Yeah, wood-burning stoves, down. Air in London was worse than in Beijing this past week, and it's because so many people have wood-burning stoves. There's about 1 million of them, lot up your way in Hampstead.
Not me, mate.
There's 40,000 people a year die from bad air in Britain. It's an absolute scandal.
It's because of the cycle superhighways in London, which means the cars can't move, so they're belching out all the pollution into London. That's what's going on. Yeah, those cycle superhighways are meant to be good for the environment. They're causing massive pollution. Trust me, they're the responsible. Much more so than wood burners.
You are not seriously blaming cyclists for bad air.
No, I'm the cars that can't move because London is now a car park.
Even for you, that is preposterous.
Well, I think on that note, we'd better end it for this week. Don't forget, you can send us your nominations for Gaff of the Week to #WinR. Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us for this review of the week. They'll be back next week, and I may well be. For now, though, it's goodbye from them.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me.